right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun, and I'm smiling. You can probably hear it in my voice. I'm smiling real big because I just finished watching the first episode of The Fall of the House of Usher, episode one, called Midnight Dreary. If you don't know, of course, this is based off of Edgar Allan Poe, and it's being taken on by Mike Flanagan, who is like horror is not my favorite genre, but I've said this before, I follow talent. It's like teams and stuff, right? I don't follow sports teams, but I follow players. And that's how this is. Like, I follow filmmakers that are really good, and those of us who know good from bad, at least, you know, subjectively in filmmaking, know that like you don't have to like horror to be a huge Mike Flanagan fan. Because I mean, is kind of subjective too. Like, I think a lot of his stuff is just like really thrilling, real thriller type stuff. The stuff that gets the goosebumps up. I mean, yes, it's if you have a certain kind of constitution, this is probably horrifying. But for me, it's just really off-putting and unsettling in the best possible way. And like going back on my channel, and if you're new to my channel and you're like my what you're hearing here, I'm sorry, I'm really excited about this. I'm like stumbling on my words. If you like what we're doing here, make sure you're hitting like and subscribe, hitting the bell for all notifications, blah blah blah. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Because all right, going all way back to like the heyday of my channel a few years ago. Um, not that long ago, but long enough. And one of the best times I had was talking about The Haunting of Hill House uh, and The Haunting of Bly Manor. I and Midnight Mass. Like, some of my favorite videos that I've ever gotten to make were about Mike Flanagan things. And it's like ever since he made his first few movies, like Oculus and Ouija, I think was like the first one or the second Ouija movie, I think, and then gosh, there was a third one, and I'm forgetting what it is. But after that, like once he signed on for Netflix and then started doing like Gerald's Game and got Doctor Sleep, like I don't care, man. Doctor Sleep, I really like for what it is. I thought I never read the book. I should, but I really liked it, and I try not to get overly hyped on filmmakers' next projects. I let myself get a little excited, but like I always try to keep like a kind of like keep it tempered down a little bit because you just never know if you're gonna like something. And but Mike Flanagan has not let me down like ever. And I know that this has been out for a minute. And so again, I'm kind of like the last person probably talking about this, but I don't really care because I freaking love this guy, and I am so happy. I'm so happy to be able to say that this first episode, at the very least, is like just so freaking good. I'm just floored by how good it is. I didn't like okay, and the reason I'm saying that is because of things we'll get to in this very soon. So sorry, this is just like when you just see something so good, you just like you don't even know like I wrote notes. I took notes for this, folks, and I'm still like, where the fuck do I even start? Well, full spoilers. If when you see this, there'll probably be like a spoiler warning and all that. But one of the greatest things about what Mike Flanagan does on these Netflix projects and going into all his other projects is this cast of people that he's put together and continue as his projects go along, how he continues to pick up the best possible people you would want in something, and then they all like at this point his cast that he keeps going on and on with is getting bigger and bigger, and they're finding work for all of them, no matter how big or small these parts are. And it is just an awesome, he's creating his own like universe of returning actors and stuff that like Scorsese has, and other really brilliant directors who just have like a family of people that are on here. And they're all here in just about all of them are represented here from all across everything, single thing he's done, I think. Because, yeah, you got Kate Siegel. I mean, who I just freaking love. Carlo Gugino, Bruce Greenwood, Mary McDonnell, Mark freaking Hamill, Rahul Kohli, Henry Thomas, man, Zach Gilford. Um, right now I'm just mentioning ones I think that have been other things, but like he got Carl Lumbly in this, folks. We got the girl from Doctor Sleep herself. We got Kylie Curran, who was so good in that, and I was so happy to see that she's in this. Annabeth Gish, another returning person. Um, let's see who else. Um, oh, and okay, and I'm probably putting him on. If you probably saw him on the thumbnail, and be like, "What the hell is he talking about?" But I gotta mention something right now, folks. And I don't know if I ever brought it up, but I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna say this to Mike Flanagan right now. This is a message to Mr. Mike Flanagan. Please, if you ever watch this for some damn reason, or somebody watches this that knows Mike Flanagan, tell him this. Put Nicholas Lee, if that's how you say his name. You know what? I feel so terrible. I don't know if it's Nicholas Leah or Lee. I'll say Leah. I don't know. God, I feel terrible. Because if you've got Alex fucking Krychek playing your judge in this, this is how like hardwired I am with this X-Files stuff, man. He plays the judge in this. He barely looks like Nicholas Lee, and I was like, that's Nicholas Lee. I knew it. I am hardwired with that X-Files cast, and I'm telling you, please, Mike Flanagan. I know he had like only one scene in this, and he has like barely any lines, and he's just playing the judge or whatever, or so I who knows what's going to happen in this show. But please get Mr. Krychek in everything that you do. Please let him become a full-time member of the Flanagan squad. Okay, he will not be let down. This guy, I love him. Okay, I am the biggest Nicholas Lee cheerleader that doesn't make a big deal about it until basically right now. All right, basically right now is like my big cheerleading for Mr. Alex Krychek to always be in your Mike Flanagan projects. Okay, so I'll stop. But there's just such a fantastic cast in this, and it continues. Sarah Jane Redmond's in this, folks. Another X File alum and Millennium. Oh my god! I just saw this now. I don't even think I saw her in an episode yet. Folks, Mr. Mike Flanagan, I've got to stop kissing his ass. I'm kissing his ass pretty hard right now. Let's get into the show. So, everybody seems to really love Succession. All right. It blows everybody away. They're all like, they just can't get enough of Succession, and it's over now. Now, look, it is what's the term you would use? Like, objectively, Succession is an amazing show. Right? It's well written. It's well acted. It's very dramatic. It really pushes people's buttons. People like listening to rich people swear at each other just like they like to listen to the inside politicians of Washington, D.C. swear on Veep and just rip each other up to shreds. We like to see that kind of humor and that kind of take on things. But I agree that that's all true. But I just don't like it. I just don't like the characters so much. They're so vile to me. And I don't really like the show. It was always hard to watch the show. no matter how like brilliant I know it all is. And this show has got this very much, and I don't know if it's intentional or not. It feels intentional, but like more like I don't know if the touches that make it feel like Succession are Flanagan's choices or not. I don't really care, but I did like that it felt like a Succession like family. And even with some of the music, very, very much reminiscent of Succession. Except here's the difference, right? Because this whole, and spoilers again, like you haven't seen this, and again, I don't know how much I will spoil. Just be ready for spoilers. Now, everybody, like I said, people in Succession are amazing actors, are great, but I don't like them, and I wanted bad things to happen to them, and really, nothing did. But it's like how we felt about Joffrey in Game of Thrones, right? Everybody wanted to see him ripped apart by wild dogs while he was alive, something along those lines. But what we got was actually fitting, and it was just as satisfying. Now, in this, we've got a bunch of people that I actually really can't stand, or I don't know. The, they vary in degrees of likability for sure. Most of them, they seem to be the type that are just kind of like, I don't know, out of touch rich people to ruthless and awful, just as you'd expect. But they're kind of like these archetypes that I'm not sure I'm supposed to like how I'm supposed to feel, but all I know is that like the six kids of this family, the fall of the House of Usher, it's how they die. So I shouldn't be too like going, oh no, which ones are gonna die, which ones aren't. It's like, no, they let you know right up front that this whole group of people is about to go down. So I'm like, well, okay, um, if I know everybody that's going to die, presumably up to the point that the show starts, where's the suspense there? If I'm just waiting for them to all die, where's the suspense? And then I realized like as the show's going on, I'm like, oh, I don't have to worry about this. Mike Flanagan's gonna make it interesting. Mike Flanagan's gonna find a way to make it suspenseful, even though you know it's coming. And why? It's the whys and the hows and how it's played out and how it psychologically affects the characters. That's what important. That's what he makes important in here, not the fucking violence. Probably, you know what I mean? And like, I'm only on the first episode, so we don't even see any of the kids die yet. But I know that however it goes down, it's going to be done correctly and fittingly. And so it's already going to be fine that I know all this. And like I said, this is Succession, but I like it. And I still don't like the characters, but I like this. And so we might as well get like, okay, I want to talk about some of these people though, like Bruce Greenwood, man, who is like at the beginning, like the head of this family as Roderick Usher. Bruce, okay, he was really good in Gerald's Game. I have seen him be really good in things. I've seen him be really, really good in things. Unfortunately, just a lot of it that like was on TV and stuff, I can't watch. Some of that stuff I can't get into no matter what. And it sucks because every once in a while I like to watch things for performances sometimes, but if your premise is something that I'm not interested in, it is really hard for actors, just actors alone, to bring me along on stuff. And unfortunately, Bruce Greenwood, like I when I do get him in something, oh my goodness, I'm just so happy. I'm like, oh, he's gonna be in this with that guy. Oh, thank goodness. He is fantastic in this first episode. And he has been really, really good. And the way that he plays this guy is nothing like, like this show may have a Succession vibe, but he is not like, a Trump kind of person like Dad uh, or Brian Cox in Succession. He's something else. And he's involved in something else. And it's darker than all that. And I love the layers that I see in this guy when he's like sitting there with Carl Lumbly, who again, Carl Lumbly, freaking amazing actor from going way back past like I mean, most people like still know him from Alias, but like he was in that like superhero show. I think it was like God, Mantis or something. But as more, but like probably most famously amongst the nerd community is like Martian Manhunter from Justice League. But also he kind of had, he's been all over the place. But he was in the new Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Just a phenomenal actor with a great voice. You get these two actors in a scene together. To me, like, okay, you know how everybody made a big deal about Robert De Niro and like Al Pacino and Heat? For a guy like me who loves character actors, this is the kind of fucking scene I love. And it's like, it's going to be a lot of this show is them talking to each other. So I've got these two guys sitting in a dark and stormy night, a house that's creepy and kind of falling down, and somebody's in the basement. He says, you know, like so and so's in the basement, and I'm just thinking, what the fuck is he talking about? Like, does this U.S. attorney know what that could possibly mean? He's just thinking, oh, she's just downstairs. The way that this scene is tense like a Tarantino flick, man, and I love it. When he's offering and talking about the cognac, and he tells him like about all the money, and I'm like, why is he going like this? Because this kind of scene is in a lot of things. I remember in I'm Lost when Desmond goes to see um, uh, gosh, Penny's dad, and he has the Macallan or whatever it's called, scotch, and he's like, "This isn't good enough for you," or some shit like that. And it's in a lot of things, like bringing up how much more money he makes than the other guy. The way he says, you know, like he offers it to him, and he's like, "See what a few years of your worth tastes like." I was like, "Holy fuck!" And the writing just continues like that throughout the entire episode. And this is teleplay by Mike Flanagan. So not only is he a great director, he's also a fantastic writer, and he puts together so many good things. And I swear, like, I don't mean to kiss this guy's ass this much. You know that it takes a lot for me to gush this fucking much. But when I finally find something truly, truly good, like Better Call Saul good or whatever, I just can't not. I just can't help myself. I just can't because it's like it's such a pleasure to be positive instead of negative. Because I'm like, he starts talking about how this is going to be my confession. He's giving in to everything that he's gotten away with to just sit in here in his childhood home. He's got 73 charges he's going to plead guilty to. And I'm just like, I'm already just all in, baby. I am all in on this show already. And when he does the flashback, where it's Annabeth Gish as the mom, who has had these two kids with the guy that she worked with, this guy that never helped. Like she was like his assistant or something, I believe, or whatever. And so he's knocked her up twice, does nothing for the kids. He's just a piece of shit that she's in love with. I mean, you look at her, and Annabeth Gish is still a beautiful woman, man. She is still just, and by the way, also on the X Files. So here's what I'm thinking, folks. Do you know where I'm going with this? If they're gonna fucking do a reboot of the goddamn X Files, they need to have someone with true fucking vision. I might also put this on and say that Mike Flanagan needs to make the X Files. That's all I'm saying. Mike Flanagan needs to be the guy on X Files. And if they can't get him, or maybe he just doesn't want to do it. Maybe he wouldn't want to do it. But he should. Well, this flashback telling the story of how he grew up with a mother who was like wouldn't go see doctors, like she was very, they don't have to get into a lot of detail to say that this woman has a lot of problems and her kids would do anything to do what she wants but not feel like they're being, you know, anything's being done to them or whatever. This is all normal to them. And she, like, when they go back to this dude, um you know, they tried to get to know him earlier and stuff, and he's just a piece of shit. He wants nothing to do with him. When they go to him desperate to tell, you know, have him come help, you know, like tell her to get help. She needs help. She dies. He couldn't care less and she dies. You know, she had her issues and the kids didn't know how to fix it, and they knew she didn't want to go see doctors, and it's just one of these real fucked up situations. And You know, they bury her because in the backyard because they know that's what she want. And you know, I just really didn't think that anything was going to happen because they checked because it just felt like over and done. But then it's night, that night, and it's fucking dark and stormy night, and they wake up and the fucking grave is open, and the wood is splintered everywhere, and there's dirt everywhere, and they see that the body, whatever came out of it, is in the house now. And I'm honestly like, okay, you know, yeah, this could be creepy. This is creepy. It's all set up pretty bad, you know, like, but I'm not scared yet. I'm not really allowing myself to feel anything yet. And even though they're standing there, and I know, I know that she's in that somewhere. I'm sitting there and I'm just like, I'm slowly getting terrified. Slowly getting not like how they say like with jump scares. It's how Mike Flanagan does things where he's like he knows you know and it still works. You don't know, like when the light goes back on, is that thing going to be right next to you, 20 feet from you? Wherever it is, it's going to feel and be unnatural and unsettling. And it happens here too. And he's so goddamn good at it. And it turns out like she wasn't dead. She's just fucking ripped out of the fucking grave, and she's terrifying and amazing looking. All this practical effects stuff, by the way. And when she just leaves, goes down the road, and then strangles the man to death before and then she dies. She kills the man who would never help, would rather let her die than help her. She chokes him to death and then dies. Holy fucking shit. And so we get that. And he tells him, like, you know, I know I'm supposed to talk about this because she's here. And Carl Lundplay's like, I know I'm like doing Chris Farley show right now. Remember that time when, but when he says, well, it's because she's here, she's right behind you. And I rewound it where Carl Lumbly has this definite reaction that is unsettling, but it's like he tries to, it's like, but hidden in a, like a kind of thing. But there's a hint of fear in that first second of his exhale, like his inhale, that is that, like the shiver, like the ice cube going down your spine, like that drop of water that just super cold that hits the back of your spine and slides down. That's what happened to him in that second. And they do a lot of talking, and then they finally look behind him, and god damn it, there's something fucking behind him. And it's like, but you don't know. And I had to fucking really stand up and look because I had lighting where I should have been able to see it, but it was done so well that you had to, like, and it's just, and during this whole discussion about talking about how these are just like high powered negotiation tactics. And it doesn't even break, like you see Greenwood's Usher look at the person standing there, the ghost of his mother standing there, presumably, or whatever the fuck it is. And he's looking at it, and it's seizing, like, and he's just got this own thing going on in his head, talking about like how he's got 6 kids from 5 different mothers, and it doesn't matter who they are, they're all ushers, the gates are always open during this whole thing. And they talk about the last day that they were alive. So the bulk of this episode is that last day that everyone was alive and together at the courthouse. And he starts listing all these charges, and you're like, he calls them a crime family. And it's the first time I had heard about them being referred to as a crime family, and how they have to do with the opioid epidemic. And you have you start to get, they give you all the rundown of all the kids. And I gotta say, like Henry Thomas, like once again, ever since he's been, look, I've been following Henry's career pretty good for ever since around like Suicide Kings. and and a little bit before that, I think there was a couple other independent films that because you know at that time a lot of really great people that were like Henry Thomas were in a lot more independent stuff than like big budget movies. Um, and he's getting Mike Flanagan is definitely giving this guy like a lot of like quality work and quality parts and getting like when you see like guys like Henry Thomas get like quality work and writing, you know that like they should be getting better jobs. So everybody out there, start putting these guys like Henry Thomas in your stuff. They're fantastic if you give them a good fucking script. But he's so good in this too. Like he brings like he seems like one of those guys who would give you kind of like the uh, typical just run of the mill fine average performance of whatever he's supposed to play as, but he doesn't. And we get to see like a whole unique new kind of character that like he's played dads a million dads, but somehow he is able to create a different version, like a really unique take on what could normally just be seen as like a run of the mill boring person. And he just rises to the occasion. And so does everybody in this. Like the Tamerlan Usher, played by Samantha Sloyan, she is fantastic in it. Her kind of like hanger-on husband, played by Matt Bladell, who's William Bill T. We get Rahul Kohli, who again once like iZombie ended, who and that's where I think I really noticed Rahul for the first time was that, and he was so good. And when he popped up in Bly Manor, I was so freaking happy. And then seeing him in Midnight Mass, and now this uh, guy is so talented. Him as Napoleon or Leo Usher, a guy who's definitely having fun with his life. Um, and then you have Kate Siegel plays Camille, and she's got the like platinum white ass hair, and she's like the vicious businesswoman in this. Great. You got Tania Miller, who's like doing research with chimpanzees and stuff, and she's got her wife. I think it's Paula Nunez. Uh, there's Sayurian Sapkota, who is Prospero Usher. He's like the young one who wants to be like, do the like bars and social media, like kind of business stuff. And then you got Mary McDonnell, man, from freaking Sneakers. That's right, I said Sneakers. I think of her from Sneakers, not Dances with Wolves. I'm so happy to see that she's in this. All right, because I was like, oh wait, Mary McDonald's in this. Where's Carla Gugino going to fit? Oh well, they fit Carla Gugino in here just fine. And Carla Gugino is still super fine. Carla, give me a call. Anyway, and yeah, I can't believe that I'm glossing over Mark Hamill in this as their lawyer. Thank you, Mike. You gave me Luke Skywalker. You added Luke Skywalker to the goddamn mix. Um, and they're all just kind of like doing your average Succession type stuff. They all have like varying degrees of whatever they want. They're all worried about this mystery mole. There's a mole in the family, and that is what the state's attorney is threatening, and that's kind of like where old daddy puts a $50 million bounty on his own family member, one of his own family members, and tells him to have fun. Uh, but right before he's finishing hearing his like one kid give a pitch, he sees Carlo Gugino with crazy black eyes hand him a drink that says "One for the road." Oh, a very shining moment. There were great little moments and nods to other horror stuff in this, by the way. And like right at the very last shot is basically Edgar Allan Poe. Like couldn't be more on the nose than that. But it doesn't matter when it's done well. Even the coffee cake joke was great. The coffee cake joke. If you don't know what the coffee cake joke is, I'm not gonna spoil it for you here, but it's pretty funny. I liked it. Um, and when they get to there's a woman, and it's the Carla Gugino character, and we don't know what's up, but something happened in 1979 between 79 and 80 on New Year's Eve, and he's bringing up resolutions, how they're heavy. It's a heavy word about, resolve and unwavering and determined to either do or not do something. And they go into the bar, and okay, and another person. Okay, because I want to bring up, yes, because I want to bring up Zach Gilford, who's playing young Roderick, but I also want to bring up Willa Fitzgerald, who plays young Madeline, and she was on Reacher. And look, she was one of those girls where I was like, why is she on Reacher? And look, I know everybody does whatever, blah blah blah, take your jobs, take whatever, but she is unrecognizable in this, and she went from being like okay, I guess this is kind of like because Reacher to me is kind of like a R-rated CW show, and that's not that it's necessarily a bad thing. I think Reacher is actually kind of entertaining, but I was so glad to see that she got a bump up to being in a Flanagan picture. And I'm not knocking Reacher, I'm really not, but like I was like, who is that? I like I was intrigued, and when I found out it was her, I was so happy. I was like, heck yeah, man. But something clearly happened this night in 1979. We don't know what it is. I feel like I'm doing a true crime podcast all of a sudden. And she, like we can tell that there's something going on. They start having a drink later. She's taught Carly Gugino is saying some cryptic shit. And I like that's like basically the end, except it's not. Because at the funeral, when he's seeing the ghost of whoever and then his kids, and he goes out to the limousine and opens up the fucking door of the limousine, and that thing that was in the car, because I'm not going to say what it is. I wrote it down. I'm not going to say what it is. Because just in case somebody didn't see this and I haven't really spoiled too many things that bad, I was I was so taken it like I was so not ready for it that I genuinely, folks, had like, the first time you see when you're watching The Exorcist and you see the goddamn face of oh god, how am I drawing a blank right now on the goddamn thing from The Exorcist? But the first time you see that face, that's how I felt when I saw the what was at the end. And when he falls down, when Bruce Greenwood falls down, and Pazuzu, it's the fucking Pazuzu. Where the first time you saw Pazuzu and you go, what the fuck was that? That was like this moment. And when he falls down and there's blood coming out of his nose and he looks up and there's a raven looking down on him, and I'm like, that is the best way to end an Edgar Allan Poe inspired episode if I've ever seen one. So, and all he's saying is, it's time, I think is what he's saying. But dude, that thing, I purposely didn't even go back and look at it again because I didn't want to have it like falsely ruined. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want that pure fear that hit me, that pure adrenaline of like, what? I didn't want to taint that feeling because that's the kind of shit that'll hit me in my dreams. And believe me, folks, I would rather dream about what was in the backseat of that car than dealing with daily life. But still, if I were to see that in real life, I would have pissed my pants. So anyway, that's the end of the Midnight Dreary first episode of The Fall of the House of Usher, episode 1. If you liked this, please tell me what you liked about it, and not about like my review necessarily, but this discussion that we're having about it. But let me know what you think about Mike Flanagan and Mike Flanagan shows, and should he be on the X-Files, and all that stuff. This is going to be so much fun. I don't know, like I said, I don't know how many of these I'll do, but this one was a lot of fun to do. And if I make another one, I'll see you on that one. Otherwise, I'll see you on another video. Have a great night, everybody. Enjoy your Thanksgiving, because that's when I recorded this, but you probably won't see it until like Friday or Saturday. So have a great night. Bye.